Like I could see like the double, triple, quadruple check. So everyone's on edge, right? The amygdala, this is the creation of trauma, right? It also shrinks, but increases in activity. The amygdala is in charge of producing a stress hormone called cortisol. And it's also like the area of like fight, flight, or freeze. So anyone with this kind of trauma, they can like react quickly and sometimes illogically to situations initially, and then realize, okay, that was not that deep. But like people will be reactive and they will be on edge until there's like some coping skills that could help to recalibrate a person.
I would imagine
it's going to take a bit of time.
I was going to say, because having gone through nothing this catastrophic or this intensely violent, but just different kinds of trauma. And I mean, like for me, it's been, there's like, I have trouble with memory sometimes, but I would imagine, and like I've been in a car accident, you mentioned that that's something that's unexpected, but like this is on a scale that is, it's hard to process. We kind of have an idea of car accidents, but when it's an attack on especially a location, your community, your neighbors, or people who, or you could have been there. All of those things. It's almost like you keep thinking it's happening, right? You can imagine it happening too.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the memory thing because that reminds me the third part of the brain that's affected is the hippocampus, like kind of in the back center, and that's in charge of memory, and that also shrinks and it's not working properly. It lowers in function, so that's why people may have like gaps in memory of certain traumas. It's kind of like your brain is trying to protect you. Okay, you remember this, but you don't need to remember all of that until someone reminds you, right? Then it gets triggered to the memory. But that's one of the things that can happen, absolutely.
What are some of the things, because I know we talked about, it can be an event like this, a horrifying event like this. It can also be, as you mentioned, a combat experience or, living with a narcissist or childhood abuse or domestic violence, sexual abuse. What are some of, I think a lot of folks, we have this attitude of like, well, I just have to work through it, or we self-medicate and things like that. What do you recommend that folks do to make sure that they're addressing it?
Well, I would seek a good trauma therapist, right? Like trauma is a little different than treating other symptoms of anxiety, because like an event like this, right, or living with a narcissist, or combat, or long deployments, as we mentioned, everything on that list, it's not logical. Right, that trauma, okay. Grief is when you have like a 98-year-old grandpa who raised you and you're each other's best friends, but he's dying of cancer. It's painful, but it's logical. Right. Like you almost feel selfish asking for more time, right? Trauma, on the other hand, is a highly emotionally charged and or life-threatening event that is not logical. Like this should not be happening. The brain likes to categorize things. This goes here, that goes there. But when there's an event like this, the brain can't process it because it's not logical. And so people find themselves in that trauma loop where, like, you experience the ruminating thoughts, right? And it feels like a mental prison almost for many people, like living in fear, living with any kind of startle responses, distrust, safety concerns, difficulty sleeping, or changes in appetite, and at an extreme, even suicidal ideation. So definitely, like, seeking a good trauma therapist will help, like one that specializes in trauma. One thing I do I encourage my clients to do is what's called grounding techniques.
Yep.
So those are like deep breathing exercises, and there's something called like diaphragmatic, where you're breathing from like think of it like you're putting your hand over your belly button. You're breathing from there, right? And so like you breathe in for 4 counts, like 1, 2, 3, 4. You hold for about 7, and you exhale slowly to make it last 8 seconds or so, or 8 counts. So it's called the 4-7-8 breath, right? And other things would be really focusing like on sensory details of your environment. Like, I am sitting in this chair. How does my body feel in this chair? In order to center you into the present instead of worrying about the future or thinking about the past. What sounds, like even right now as I move, right, is my desk chair making? How does this chair feel compared to other things?
Right.
Counting backwards can help because it forces you to kind of get out of your head. And trying to describe a favorite place in detail. Like, again, it's trying to get your brain back to something else. At an extreme, let's say you're at a panic attack, what can help sometimes is holding a piece of ice or a water bottle that's been in the freezer. Be careful, put a towel around it, don't get, freezer burn. But the reason it works is because, like, if you've ever, most of us have, worn shoes that are a size too small. Okay, World War III could be happening outside, and the only thing the brain is focusing on is the feet because it sees it as danger, a threat. Same concept with the ice. Like I always tell people, put a towel around it. Keep switching. Don't get frostbitten. But it forces the brain to move from the thoughts to the actual area that's uncomfortable, which is the hands.
Wow, such great advice. Yep, go ahead. Physical activity.
Physical activity. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying physical activity. Go ahead. You go. Thanks, Doc.
Okay. Like, for those who can, running, walking, there's a lot of research that shows that there's a connection between yoga and treatment from trauma, because trauma gets trapped in the body as well. When we feel threatened, we guard, like our shoulders go up, and the body's preparing itself for a fight or for defense. Trauma, therefore, has to be released as well. For those who can't do yoga, maybe even gentle stretching in a chair or in your bed. There's something called passive muscle relaxation, where you are led through an exercise to relax every single muscle, like way more than you're used to. That can be found on YouTube. I'll just repeat it: passive muscle relaxation. Talking to a friend or therapist. Luckily, we're like in my situation, we're all in the quarter, so that's all we're talking about, and we're also trying to just remember funny times to distract ourselves. But we're like group therapy right now, and so finding people that like a group or even a Facebook group that shares a similar experience could be very helpful.
Because there's so many people there that keep Bourbon Street humming. Whether it's the service workers, from bartenders to wait staff to the hotel. It's just such a whole town unto itself in those few blocks in the French Quarter of Bourbon Street, right?
Yes, and it's not confirmed, but what we've heard, some local news or so, is that they believe that the majority of people injured might have been from the service industry, like cooks, waiters, or so, because they get off work at that time. And so they probably, want to let loose a little bit. Now, again, it's not confirmed. But given the area, right, and they do get off of work, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Right.
So I'm going to move a little. As we speak, there is a brass band right outside my window, so I do have to see. Again, this is a place of celebration.
Right.
And in NOLA form, New Orleans form, we're having a second line. It's like a mini parade with the brass band going in front, and people join, either as a tribute to something or to celebrate something, or to honor something. And there's a lot of that going on because New Orleans are like, we are not going to allow this to destroy us. We are a place of joy, and we're going to continue to be a place of joy. And also, so therefore, with trauma victims, it's very difficult. Let's say you're military and you're coming back to civilian life. It is difficult. That's your support system, seeking out others in the military, like veterans, etc. But also, remembering that there were good times in the military, right? Like, we have to remember the good times too, to counterbalance what's happening, in both our minds and bodies.
I wanted to talk a little bit about, I know you shared information in particular for law enforcement and first responders who are, of course, first, responding to the violence, to the attack, and having to take down the attacker, trying to lock down the area, looking for other devices, other accomplices, and then the first responders who are treating the victims and the wounded, the deceased. Tell us a little bit about the work in that area, because I think a lot of times the mental health of our first responders isn't as attended to as it should be.
I 100% agree. Okay, so first responders can be even more affected. from individuals, let's say, that witness it alone. The reason is like the brain goes through something called critical incident trauma processing. So when something is happening that's threatening, non-first responders go through a series of like very quick, like think seconds, processing from the brain, right? So like the first would be, okay, here comes trouble. Like you understand that there's some situation that needs to be addressed. And then it's like, okay, I should do something, right? You're not there yet because, again, this takes place in seconds. And then you switch from a sense of vulnerability to addressing the situation like, I have to do something. So I have to fight back, or I have to leave the narcissist, or I have to do something to address the situation. And then afterwards, people are left, trauma victims are left with what's called cognitive dissonance. Your sense of your belief system is not matching reality. That's what many of us are going through right now. Now, let's just do a repeat with first responders, okay? First responders definitely have the here comes trouble, okay, but they can skip the I should do something and then I have to do something because it's part of their training. So they just go because they're very well trained to do that and to address a situation. So they have even less time to process what's happening compared to others, because of the training, right? And so for that reason, they can be like that. That's kind of like the scientific explanation of why they're more impacted than non-first responders. But the culture of, like, let's say military or police or any first responder can be like, I don't need help, or I don't want to talk about it, right? Because it's just the culture. I have many law enforcement friends and patients, and I understand, like, it is difficult. So the first step is really just kind of realizing, look, some stuff went down, and some really horrible stuff went down, and this is not normal, and I need to get back to where I was. Well, no one will ever be 100% back to where they were, but I need to be able to cope. So it's a matter of, like, we take care of our health, but we have to take care of our mental health. Mental health is a part of health. Right. When you have a headache, you take an aspirin. When you go through some horrendously horrible, tragic incident, you see a therapist. And so the goal of therapy is not like you're going to be in there for years, especially a trauma therapist. The goal is working on alleviating the symptoms, as quickly as we can. Now, notice I said alleviating. Right, managing the symptoms, reducing the symptoms, and sometimes with certain techniques, there can be elimination of symptoms, but that usually happens after some time. Like the brain still needs to process, right? So we don't just launch into like, okay, remove it, or like remove a bunch of it so that you're able to function better. But sometimes people need to feel what they need to feel. Yeah. In order to get to a place of feeling more centered. And I know that you're sharing information with the intent of making sure that it's something that we all are making first responders aware of, because I get so angry with people who don't consider the first responders who took their lives after January 6th to have been casualties of that event, and it is all tied together because of the weight it carries on their mental health. I think that so many cities, in particular urban areas where there's constant response to trauma that people are experiencing, that police officers are called to, we really need to make sure, because I think a lot of times, and I think I've talked to cops in Chicago who said that they're hesitant to make that call, like you mentioned, that not just if they they're trained to do this so they can process it, but also if they do ask for help, sometimes they're sidelined or their weapon is taken because they're considered to be somebody who is vulnerable to mental health. I think that every single member of law enforcement and first responders, it should just be mandatory twice a year. I think everybody should go twice a year to see somebody. Oh, I agree. Girl, if it were up to me right now, I'd send the world to therapy, right? Because like we're dealing with a lot, and we have been dealing with a lot. But I want to respond to the suicide thing that you mentioned. Like, yes, suicides after a traumatic event are casualties. Yes. Because unlike other mental health diagnoses or so, like, depression. Trauma, on the other hand, is like a mental prison that you cannot escape because your brain still is trying to heal itself but it can't. It's stuck, right? And so people many times don't see a way out, or they think that like whatever they're going through right now is permanent because they are trying. It's not like anyone's not trying. They're trying to feel better, but the brain, like without trauma work, like the brain will continue this loop. So I've often mentioned, like, between depression and trauma, not that depression's a picnic, right? Depression's awful, but between the two, like, I would pick depression because trauma is a mental prison. It's like you feel trapped. So I'll say this. For first responders, it does help to get a therapist who has experience dealing with first responders. I fully know and understand the need for confidentiality, so I can reassure everybody, right, that we are bound to confidentiality by law and our licensing board by ethics. The only way that confidentiality is broken is if you tell us that you are going to commit suicide or you're going to murder someone else. So even if you tell us I am feeling suicidal or I'm having thoughts of suicide, that doesn't break confidentiality because that can be a symptom of trauma. So that nothing will happen. Like, you're not going to be hospitalized or anything like that because there's 3 layers of suicide. There's the thought, and then there's the plan, and there's the intent. So we don't take action until, like, there's the intent, like when we feel that you're a danger to yourself. Additionally, many first responders don't want to use their insurance because it's associated to the company. And so many of us, especially in a situation like this, like I offer like free sessions, for first responders in NOLA who are going through this like for a period of time because they're high risk, right? And so for that reason, like, we can take cash. We do sliding scale, or like, especially given something like this, we will work with you.
Right.
Many psychologists will. So if you want, like, not to use your insurance, no one will find out about it. We are bound by law and ethics. And I already discussed the only, way that gets, broken is if we feel you're actively suicidal, and we guard our notes. Like you wouldn't believe. Like, even if we're subpoenaed, many of us will fight it because of like how we feel about confidentiality. Like, we have to protect our clients.
Yeah.
So and or like we keep our notes. Like, we talk to people like, I don't want this in my record. Okay, then I discuss with them, like, okay, I do have to say this. How about we do that? Like, I just let them know to make them feel more comfortable what I am writing down. But we do have to write down some things, obviously. But I would hope that people would have the confidence to tell their therapist or new therapist, I don't feel comfortable being here. This is not what I'm used to. Right? This is not what I do, and I'm freaked out about confidentiality, and I need this to not go back to my sergeant or anything, and that's where we talk through this with you.
Yeah, I would encourage folks, if you're you don't know how to find a therapist that works with complex trauma, you can actually Google it and go through, read the bios of folks in your community. If you have someone you trust, I had someone who when I was in Los Angeles one time, a friend of mine turned to me and she goes, "Please tell me you're in therapy," and I was like, "Yes," and she was like, "Good," because we all have sometimes people compare themselves to others and think, well, I don't have it as bad as so-and-so. And that's not the case. I wish, and you mentioned, I wish the world would go to therapy. I think that, the way we have marketed scheduling your dental appointments, every 6 months. Well, when you make your dental appointment, first of all, you should be doing it every 6 months, but then also on that same day, make your appointment for your therapist. You don't have to see them on the same day, but, make every 6 months, just for like a checkup.
Just a checkup. So even, like, let's say for people that are coupled, right? Your relationship is going great. That's wonderful. We still recommend, like, just seeing someone, like, maybe once every 5 years. And that's like, okay, if everything's super great, right? Like, in a relationship. Because the person that you are now individually, not as a couple, is very different than the person you were 5 years ago. So when you all got together, it was like 5 years ago, people change.
Yeah.
And so there's adjustment. And so it is good to do a checkup of like, okay, how are we doing and how have I changed? How have you changed? With a trained professional, right, to like be there and be a source for like, suggestions, behaviors, changes in communication, et cetera, to accommodate our growth and our sense of evolving.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes, I am all for maintenance.
So my therapist, I called her last year. And I'm doing like once a year with her now. We're at maintenance right now, but she goes, I saw a news story and I knew you were going to call me. We have that kind of relationship. She's like, I was wondering if Patti would call me. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is being mindful, being aware of going, what am I feeling? My heart is racing. I'm having trouble breathing. What is this?
Right.
Also, that's part of the maintenance is being able to identify that. And she gives me grounding things, physical things that like you've been talking about. So folks, if you can find somebody to talk to, I recommend it at any level of care that you need. Again, we've been talking to Dr. Suzana Flores. Let's let folks know if they want to like learn more about the work that you've written. Several books. You've written Face Hooked, which you were ahead of the curve on the psychology of being on social media.
The psychology of social media. That was massive. When I was writing the book, I was like, this is going to change our dynamics, and just wait. And eventually my psychologist friends were like, please stop talking about it and just write about it.
Well.
And my second book is, there's plenty of, and it's still going on, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Social media problems. And for that, at least like maybe take a day off, right? Like try to take a day off. It helps.
Yeah.
Because it's the brain is not designed to handle like information coming from multiple sources at multiple times during the day. Like we're not designed that way, so it's overload.
Yeah.
So we do need to self-care. Take some breaks.
Yeah, well, I was telling my husband today that like I really there are certain like news stories that I don't watch mainstream media anymore. I deleted Twitter off my phone, and anytime I am on social media, I hardly post that much. I'm taking a break, but I mostly watch thrift store videos. Any video that starts with "Come thrifting with me," I'm watching those videos.
Right. It definitely has its positives. Yeah. Definitely, there's a lot of benefits to social media. A lot.
Well, that's why I love following you.
Just like anything in excess could be too much.
Right, and that's why I love following you, because you share a lot of humorous stories. You also share things that are important mental health wise, and so if folks want to follow you, I encourage them to do so. Where do you prefer folks follow you on social media?
They can catch me on NOLA Wellness. That's the name of my company, NOLAWellness.net, or look up my name, like Dr. Suzana Flores, and that's Suzana. And they can email me directly at Dr. Suzana Flores, so DrSuzana Flores @gmail.com.
Well, I think that we need to schedule a monthly appointment with you on the show with Dr. Suzana Flores.
I would love that.
Let's do that.
I'd love that.
Let's start there. It might be more frequently. I am fortunate enough that I get to enjoy your company in a few weeks, and thank you so much for allowing me to spend time with you in your beautiful city, your second home. And I know Chicago is your first, but I really
always be my heart.
I have to tell you, when I was there last year, I really fell in love with the city. So I look forward to coming back and spending Inauguration Day with you.
Yeah, again, coping mechanisms, right? Yeah. Find people with similar interests, right?
Yeah.
Or similar, ways of thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, like in closing, I just want to emphasize again, for the first responders, it's not a matter of weakness. It's not a matter of like, I can't handle this. It's like, I just need recalibration. Try to think of it that way,
Yeah.
Things are out of whack right now with reason. Okay, you also have to be compassionate towards self. You've been through some stuff, right? And the negative self-talk is not helping, right? So it's just like, I need to recalibrate. I need a little help recalibrating, and that's it. let's think of it that way.
Outstanding. Thank you for all your advice, for your insight, for filling us in on the atmosphere in New Orleans. And we wish you all in your community healing. We send our love and all the positive energy possible. I know it's going to take a long time. And I know that it's just one of the most resilient communities I've ever had the pleasure of being visiting. So thank you so much, Dr. Suzana Flores. My best to everybody.
Thank you as well. It's always a pleasure being on your show.
Well, we look forward to having you back. Have a good weekend. Okay. Have a healing weekend.
You too.
Continue the process. I know you will.
Yes.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you. God, I love her. I take a break here, and we'll come back in just a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. We'll open up the phone lines if you want to join us. 773-763-9278. More in a moment.
The Randy Rhodes Show.
Oh, congratulations to the Fox and Friends weekend morning host, who's now our Secretary of Defense. He's a veteran, everybody. I know, I'm a veteran too. I'm pretty sure I wasn't on any of Kamala's short list for any cabinet position, but oh my God, these pits, it's almost like, well, there's a word for it. It's called patronage. Right here, right now on WCPT 820, weekdays 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time.
Hello, fellow progressives. Attorney Tony Moret here. I want to thank all the WCPT listeners who have put their trust in me. I know that nothing is more important to you than your family, and it is an honor to be trusted to help carry out your wishes. Planning your estate can seem overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. My 30 years of experience will help guide you through this very important process to help preserve your family legacy. Whether it is drafting a living trust or a will, I will be with you every step of the way. In my practice, facts matter, so advertising on WCPT has been a perfect fit. We can get things started if you call me at 847-996-0496. The initial meeting is completely free and there's no obligation. All it takes is one phone call. My website is moretlawoffice.com. That's Moret spelled M-O-R-E-E. As they say, sometimes the first step is the hardest. But all you need to do is call me at 847-996-0496.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Before we continue, I do want to show, I want to express our appreciation for everyone that is a friend of Driving It Home with me, Patti Vasques. Your support of This is why I don't do live. I haven't done live reads in a long time. I better. Okay, reset. Hi, everybody. Hey, Lady B, let's fix that in post. Can we rewind right now and erase that? We want to thank everybody that's a friend of the show, and especially those. Look, everybody, but you have to know that Monaco Brewing Company has really been with us since the beginning, and we're so grateful for that. And the Monaco Brewing Company ensures that our important conversations continue right here on WCPT each weekday from 5 to 7, and you can now find the Resistance IPA, Labor Lager, or the Resistance Pilsner beer at several Illinois locations, including Arminetti Wine and Spirits in Woodstock, Pineapple and Company in North Riverside, Lions Beverage Depot in Arlington Heights, and MP's Liquor, Wine and Beer in North Aurora. For a full list of Chicagoland locations, please visit MonacoBrewingCompany.com. As always, please vote and drink responsibly. And we will be doing another remote from the Monaco Brewing Company's tap room in Madison coming up in February. We'll get you those dates as soon as we lock it down. I probably should let folks know I will be at Zany's next Thursday night with Dwayne Kennedy headlining. He invited me to open for him on January 9th. That's Zany's in Rosemont. I will be on the air, and then we're not that far from Rosemont, so it's an 8 o'clock show. You can go to zanys.com for ticket information for that show. Again, that's Dwayne Kennedy, and I will be opening for him on Thursday. And then I am headlining at Babs Comedy in Forest Park on January 11th. So would love to see everybody at those shows. So you got a choice. You got one show on Thursday. Nothing wrong going on Thursday night. Start the weekend a little bit. Just have a good time, have a good laugh. And then I will most likely be doing different sets because it's two different kinds of shows between headlining and opening. But you can follow Babs Comedy Club on social media, and they're at 7316 Madison Street in Forest Park. You can visit babscomedyclub.com. And if you follow their Instagram page, they were very sweet. They actually were filming the night that I last performed there, and so I'm part of their reel, their promotional reel. So that was very cool to have access to that. And those are a couple of things to let you know about. Coming up in, let's see, after I take the next break, we do have another Fry the Coop gift card to give away. And, I'm super late for everything. I didn't consolidate all my breaks. Well, let's do weather here, and I'll come back and take your calls and give away a gift card for Fry the Coop in just a moment.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Partly cloudy tonight with a low temperature of 12 degrees and northwest winds at up to 25 miles an hour. Saturday, sunny with a high temperature of 22. Sunday, cloudy, high temperature of 28. Northwest winds at 10 to 20. Monday, chance of light snow with a high temperature around 30. Tuesday, partly sunny and a high of 25. And for Wednesday, partly sunny with a high temperature around 19. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 24.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter. Stephanie Miller.
I've gotten more mail than I've ever gotten in my entire life, because a lot of people have a lot to share, and they can't always make it on the phone lines, or they're nervous, and trust me, whatever you're going through, me too, all of us, wherever you are in your timeline, drunk, sad, scared, angry, right there with you. Thank you for people saying they're not listening to anybody but me. I think that's a good plan. Because I'm just like, blah, 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 blah.
Stephanie Miller, weekday mornings 8 to 11 on WCPT 820. Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Some things you wouldn't mind being stuck with, like a huge inheritance. But a phone that has to be plugged in just right so it charges is not one of those things. Switch to Verizon and we'll pay off your old phone up to $800 via prepaid MasterCard for a new one on us. Just trade in any phone from our top brands with select unlimited plans. $829.99 purchase with new smartphone line on select unlimited plans. Minimum $90 per month with autopay plus taxes and fees for 36 months required. Less $830 trade-in/promo credit applied over 36 months. Trade-in terms apply. Payoff phone requires smartphone purchase and port-in with new smartphone line on select plan. Must provide most recent bill showing payoff amount of eligible phone. Additional terms apply.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasques on WCPT 820.
All right, let's see if I can get through this one without tripping over my teeth. Fry the Coop is the destination for hot chicken in Chicagoland, and they're giving a Southern original Midwest touch, whether you want heat or no heat, featuring chicken sandwiches, tenders, chicken and waffles, and now nuggets, all delivering happiness in each crunchy bite, proudly not using seed oils, but frying all of their menu items in 100% beef tallow. Stop by Fry the Coop today at one of its many locations, from Oaklawn to Chicago to Elmhurst, Darien, Prospect Heights, Tinley Park, and Bolingbrook. There's one right down the street from us, as a matter of fact, in Portage Park on Milwaukee Avenue, over by there. You can have no heat, mild, medium, hot, or crazy insanity. And to celebrate the holidays, Fry the Coop has given WCPT $25 gift cards as our little gift to you. So we will take caller number 3 at 773-763-9278. That's the number to call for your chance to win a Fry the Coop gift card worth $25. Contest running at WCPT 820 are open to listeners 18 or older and residents of the greater Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana area. One entry per person, one winner per household. Void where prohibited by law. Listeners may only win or qualify to win once every 30 days. Complete rules are available on our website at WCPT820.com by clicking the contest tab. So not winners. They're winners, but not of the gift card. Dave in Hoffman Estates. Hey, Dave, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hey, Happy New Year, Patty.
Sure, let's say that. Can we just say, all right, New Year? Okay, New Year's. Yesterday I was like, happy? New Year? Like, is it a question mark in the middle of the reading? Anyway, go ahead.
Well, you got to have something. And did you happen to see that story where Trump was whining about incorrectly on saying that it's the first time that the flag will be a half-mast for inauguration of a future president? Well, first thing, half-mast is on a ship. It's half-staff for the first error. And then, secondly, it is not the first time that Nixon's second inauguration flags were lowered to half-staff after the death of President Truman, and then stayed lowered for another 30 days when LBJ died, 2 days after Nixon's second inauguration. We never heard Nixon whining about it. You know, this is national protocol.
Yeah.
You know, and of course, all during it while President Carter was alive, Trump had no respect, for President Carter. He only cared about himself, and then he kept calling him a loser and all of this stuff. In fact, if you ever read that book by Lev Parnas, he said that he considered George H.W. Bush and President Carter losers because they were only one-term presidents.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And he thought that once you're in, you should be able to do the job until you can't do it no more. And then have the other people, take them, finally tell them it's time to go or something, so.
Right.
But and, so this guy is just, I don't know why he's going to the funeral even. He's going to probably try to make it about him too, I suppose,
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
I do kind of appreciate that President Jimmy Carter is ticking off Donald in the afterlife. I love that he's making him crazy. I mean, yep, living.
He was, he was like I say, I served, under him. He was the first one that I, voted for and stuff like that, and so.
Yep. For folks who aren't aware, as Dave was saying, Donald kind of lost his shiz on Truth Social because they're going to have the flag at half-mast during his inauguration at the White House behind. So it'll be in view, it'll be in the shots, and he thinks it's disrespectful to him, apparently, and is annoyed by it. And that's, of course he is.
Patty, I told you, it's half-staff. He said masked.
He said
half
staff. I'm sorry. Yeah, he said half mask. He doesn't even know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe he's anyway, I'm sure his mask is not full. I'm sorry. That was a weird thing to say, and I apologize to everyone involved.
Yeah. Hey, real quick. Yeah. I suppose you got somebody else waiting, but I was going to say that I was just reading a story today about, tie in from what your last guest talked about.
Absolutely.
Saying that there's a 40% rise in mental health diagnosis among troops.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And going through it, and they said that with the mental health disorder diagnosis were most often found in female service members, individuals from a younger age demographic, and the Army. Navy, however, led all other services in diagnosis of depressive disorders, bipolar, and personality, and the women, they had PTSD twice the rate of male service members. And then at the end, I'll get off so others can talk about.
Well, I think that there's also extreme cases and high rates of sexual harassment and abuse in the military.
Sure,
directed at women, right? Which I would imagine would contribute to more need for mental health care.
Yeah, and just ending with it, it said that the suicide rate still remained at 17.6 from 2021 to 2020, according to the federal census. And then they said veterans are almost twice as likely to die by suicide as civilians. And they reported in 2023 the rate of military suicides rose by 6%. So.
Wow.
If I can, if you want, I can send you the copy of that.
I actually need to talk to Representative Stephanie Kifwit from the Illinois House.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I was going to
yeah, she's great. And I know that a friend of mine reached out because they had spoken to a veteran who's homeless and can't get housing through the VA. So we're trying to figure out how to help him.
Yeah, that other thing, she ran up the flag to those people. It never happened, last year. And then it would have been the 26th of December again this year, but she tried.
Yeah,
it's sunsetted.
Well, it doesn't mean that it can never be brought back. So she just will have to figure out a way, to develop a coalition of legislators to get that done.
Well, it's been 34 years so far, since it ended.
For folks who don't know, for Cold War veterans was the legislation that Representative Kifwit, who is a Marine, was trying to get through both chambers and was not successful, as Dave just mentioned.
But I still appreciate the hell what she tried. It did more than my guy did, But I won't hold my breath. It'll never happen. I mean, if they didn't move on that one. So, anyway, listen, let me clear off. You got some others wanting to talk, but I just figured I'd give you the 2 cents on that, and
well, thank
we'll
you.
talk again.
I appreciate your insight, Dave. Thank you so much.
Be well.
Good night. You too. Take care. Have a great weekend. Let me get to Jim in Chicago. Jim, what's on your mind, my friend?
Monday will be the 4th year. It'll be 4 years since the January 6th uprising. And to my mind, that was the most selfish act by any American I've ever read about or seen in my life. He was going to gin up a riot against the Capitol.
Yep.
And he's skating away scot-free with everything. But you know what I was going to say, Patty? This disinformation campaign by the Republicans reminds me of the Bolsheviks back when they took power in Russia in October. They used disinformation morning, noon, and night to convince the peasants, the people in the countryside and so on, that they were the right people to run the show. And the Republicans are taking this thing to another degree now with social media and everything else. They use this information to get this guy elected. And I don't know how the Democrats, I think you said this once, how do we get this information into the Republicans' heads?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, is that they're in an information vacuum. And a friend of mine was talking to me about this. They said they were traveling in southern Wisconsin recently, and at the hotel, everything was either Fox News or a religious channel. And so if you have a lot of money, you can control what the information is, especially for folks who maybe aren't on social media, but you can also target people with certain digital ads and digital information as well if you have those kinds of resources. And we need wealthy Democrats, the Mark Cubans, the whoever's, to start being a part of that process and not worry about making a profit because they don't need it, and we need to save this country.
Yeah, absolutely, and it should be a public service to get at the truth. We should have a channel or somewhere on social media, somewhere where it's a public service. What is reality? What isn't reality?
Yeah.
I mean, but I know that you talk about all the time, Patty.
It's all right. No, you're fine.
Yeah, when you're talking, so you can be an auctioneer at Christie's. I think part-time. You got enough jobs already, though. but anyway.
No, I'm trying. I mean, I'm trying to juggle. Yes, I'm trying to juggle a lot. It's funny because I just did stand-up. I just did stand-up comedy at the Crackers, but I loved it. I kind of miss it. Yeah. And a lot of people, I was hung out with Lewis Black recently, and he's like, he was almost like, it was really sweet. He's like, do you still do comedy? Like, he was like sad that I might not. I mean, I do. Once a month at least. I get up this in January. I'll be up 3 times at the very least. I've got a show, like I said, at Zany's, at Babs. I'll be in Champaign, Illinois for the Rotary down there on the 16th. So I got a couple gigs coming up. But I also am working on this. I'm having conversations with our friends at Union Proud Warrior. They're working on a platform to get stories out and share information as well. I think that's going to be key. Did you hear about Amazon earlier today? A worker at their warehouse, a mom, 23-year-old mom who had been hit by the car and shot in the attack. They had denied her time off to recover from her injuries, right? And of course, they retracted it and are fully supporting her because there was a big, maybe it was an automatic response to her request, but holy crap, this is what's happening in labor.
That's their modus operandi. That's their modus operandi. But remember, he gave. I can't imagine what this Trump library will be. I know Mad Magazine will be the first book in the library, but he put $1 million. He gave him $1 million for the library, another couple of million for the inauguration. In the meantime, he's going to stuff one of his workers down there. But that's their most. I think they finally got unionized in New York. I'm not sure, but I know they were fighting like heck to get it. But I can't imagine one of the richest men in the world won't let the workers unionize. That to me is a sin, and it'll always be a sin. And anyway, Patty, you have a great weekend. Thanks, Patty. Take care.
Thank you so much, Jim. I appreciate it. Good to hear from you. Yeah, I was so ticked, but not surprised. I can't. Oh, hey, I was thinking about you, Roosevelt. I was like, I haven't heard from Roosevelt in a minute. How have you been, my friend?
Hey, Happy New Year. Feliz año.
Sure, let's say that. Happy today. How's that? Can we just go day by day? I'm not going to do it the whole year. Just to happy today to you.
Hey, Patty.
Yes.
Do you have a lot of? I know you're going to break. So do you have a lot of time to hold me over to the next hour?
We can start. I have a guest coming up at 6. Do you want to call back at 5:30 at 6:30?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's kind of a long, so all right.
We will take you out of the game. I like that Roosevelt's like, I'm gonna need a little bit of your time, and I appreciate that, Roosevelt. Yes, that's fine. But let me ask you this before, since you'll be calling back. But first, let me ask you how your holidays were.
Kind of quiet.
Yeah.
I spent the 4 days with my mom, and so that was different for Christmas. So that was different, but it was different. I mean, a couple of cocktails here and there, but hey, man, as you get older, you're gonna find out, Patty.
Yeah.
You can't. You used to do before do all that partying. So
what are you talking about? I hear you.
But hey,
Yeah.
can't complain.
No.
It's heading in the direction. So.
Yeah, I spent time with my mom over the holidays too. She'll be 90 in February.
Eddie, my mother's 93.
Wow, look at us with our tough moms.
And I heard you. I'm sorry. And I heard you when you said she wants to move back to Mexico. That's what my mom says too.
Really? Now, where in Mexico would your mom move back to?
Monterrey, close to the border. 2 hours away from the border.
Well, if we can't convince our moms to stay here, maybe I can at least have her go with your mom. Can we send our moms together?
Yeah. Hey, that'd be great because she's a widow.
Right.
She's a widow. So,
well, I think I've been able to get mom to come back to thinking that she can ride this out. How about you?
Yep. Yeah, well, you know what? The election is a woman president in Mexico and all the positive things that are going to come with it, which is the opposite of what we have here in the United States. You know, we got completely two different countries as far as leaders. One is a progressive and one wants to just rip everybody off.
Yep,
so.
Agreed. Well, Roosevelt, we'll talk to you in a half an hour.
Sounds great. Thank you for giving me the time.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you then. Thanks, Roosevelt. Yes, when we come back, we have an extraordinary guest joining in just a moment. We're going to have a radio host, as a matter of fact, from our friends at KTNF AM 950. We're going to talk to a woman who has really had an extraordinary life. Ellie Krug is going to join us in just a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal.
Eggland's Best, the only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best, better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
AP News, I'm Jackie Quinn. Members of Congress have voted to keep Mike Johnson as their House Speaker.
Congratulations, Mr. Speaker.
The Trump loyalist was falling short on the first round of voting, but several critics were convinced to change their no votes.
I'm grateful for this election, for the confidence this chamber has placed in me.
Shrinking the federal government is among the priorities Johnson highlighted. The Senate also opened its session today.
Do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution?
Vice President Kamala Harris swearing in lawmakers for the now Republican-controlled chamber. The 37-year-old Green Beret from Colorado who died by suicide in a Cybertruck explosion in Las Vegas New Year's Day may have been suffering from a brain injury, our Soccer Magani reports.
Matthew Livelsberger had told an ex-girlfriend he faced pain and exhaustion after serving in Afghanistan.
He would go through periods of withdrawal and he struggled with depression and memory loss.
Alicia Aaron served as an Army nurse who treated soldiers with TBI, and she encouraged him to get therapy.
The street parades are already back in New Orleans just days after 14 people were killed in a terrorist rampage on Bourbon Street. President Biden will travel to the city Monday to meet with the families of the victims. The Transportation Department is fining JetBlue $2 million for having chronically late flights. The Golden Globes are this weekend. Our Margie Zaraletta reports.
The movie Amelia Perez goes into the Golden Globes with 10 nominations. The Bear leads the TV nominations with 5.
Triple-digit gains for the Dow on Wall Street. This is AP News. The president of Ukraine is pondering whether Donald Trump can help end the war waged by Russia.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says President-elect Donald Trump is strong and unpredictable, and those qualities can be a decisive factor in his policy approach to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. However, Zelensky adds it won't be possible to end the almost 3 years of war in one day. As Trump claimed, Zelensky said in a Ukrainian television interview that fighting on the battlefield can end quite quickly if Trump is strong in his position. Trump, who takes office on January 20, hasn't publicly fleshed out his policy on Ukraine. I'm Charles Zilladesma.
Authorities say U.S. Olympic runner Fred Curley has been arrested in Miami Beach, Florida, after a confrontation with police. Body camera footage shows him arguing with officers late Thursday. Curley was wrestled to the ground and was tased. I'm Jackie Quinn, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now your WCPT 820 weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Partly cloudy tonight with a low temperature of 12 degrees and northwest winds at up to 25 miles an hour. Saturday, sunny with a high temperature of 22. Sunday, cloudy, high temperature of 28. Northwest winds at 10 to 20. Monday, chance of light snow with a high temperature around 30. Tuesday, partly sunny and a high of 25. And for Wednesday, partly sunny with a high temperature around 19. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 24.
Adopt, don't shop. This is Dr. Craig from Mark Drugs. We're proud to support WCPT's Pet of the Month, benefiting the Anti-Cruelty Society. Adopt, don't shop is the movement that promotes animal rescue over pet stores. Illinois has wisely outlawed pet stores, but many of those operators merely moved over the border to Indiana or Wisconsin. Their dogs largely come from inhumane puppy mills and live shorter lives with a myriad of health problems caused by overbreeding. I have several canine patients that are on an extensive regimen of medicines simply to extend their lives. I believe every dog deserves a loving home, proper nutrition, and a chance at a long, healthy life. In my experience, rescued mixed-breed dogs are the healthiest of all. So stop by the Anti-Cruelty Society location in the city or log on to their website to find your potential next family member. Or check out markdrugs.com to see this month's Pet of the Month. Remember, you have a choice when it comes to your health care, and a great choice is Mark Drugs in Deerfield and Roselle. Get better health and care for you and your pets.
Chicago's progressive talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Driving it home with Patti Vasques, Patti Vasques. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasques.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue our drive home on this Friday evening. And I want to say hello to our friends listening on KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota. And of course, we're broadcasting here from WCPT 820 Heartland Signal in Chicago. We are so thrilled to welcome one of the family members of KTNF AM 950. We welcome Ellie Krug, who is an attorney, author, and diversity trainer. She has blazed trails both in and out of the courtroom. And she's become a respected voice on human inclusivity through her training program, Gray Area Thinking. She's the author of Getting to Ellen, a memoir about love, honesty, and gender change, and has touched thousands of lives through her writing, speaking, and advocacy work. And she now also hosts Hidden Edges Radio with Ellie Krug. And if you ever want to hear any of those shows, all the shows are archived on their website, KTNF AM 950 Radio? That's the website. Ellen, how are you doing, Ellen?
It is. Hi, Patty. I'm doing great.
Thank you for joining us. Happy Friday. I'm not saying Happy New Year yet. I'm not there yet.
No. Well, and if I can add just one thing. Yes. Hidden Ages is no longer in existence. I have a new show.
Oh, I apologize. It still comes up.
That's all right. Don't worry. As of early December, a new show named The Illegal Trans Woman, which takes its name from Project 2025, which wants to outlaw transgender ideology, whatever the heck that is. And so my show is an attempt to fight back And so we're on our launching phase.
I did the thing where I did the other research, and Jerry Walsky, my co-producer on the show, had put that in my notes, and then I skipped over it. So my apologies to you, and congratulations on the new show. So incredibly important right now because of, as you mentioned, Pride of 2025, and the intentions that we know Republicans have, and the amplification of an issue that really is nobody's business is what it comes down to. Right, Ellen?
Absolutely. You know, all that transgender people want to do is be left alone.
Yes.
We bother nobody. Yeah. We really do. But you know, MAGA extremists very much want to come after us, because what they do is they fundraise off of us, and they use us as a way to rally their base in a variety of ways. Patti, I've got to tell you, I had thought that after an election in which they spent $200 million attacking transgender people, that they would leave us alone.
Yeah.
But clearly they won't. It's Trump and his cronies have absolutely signaled that they are going to continue to come after us in a big, big way.
And here, it's so incomprehensible, and I don't know what it is. Obviously there are so many different elements, right? There are people who come at it from, the Bible, which honestly, what? I just remember, what was it, 2 years ago when Marsha Blackburn that's when we knew it was going. There was this rumble for years, right, about bathrooms. I remember North Carolina a decade ago, I think, when Obama was in office. And I was just like, well, what do you care? Nobody leaves the house wanting to even use a public bathroom in the first place, right? It's a must-do, right? It's not like, oh, I can't. Right. It's just madness. But that we were having committee hearings with people demanding, define a woman. What is a woman? It's insanity. Okay, so let me take a step back. What do you want folks to know about the experience of your journey of what you mentioned? It's very personal. You also have written about it because you want people to know, well, it shouldn't be public for everyone. It's not for our consumption, and yet we need to be educated, right?
Absolutely. I would tell you, Patti, the biggest challenge that transgender people face is the question of choice. Those who are intolerant, those who are coming after us, literally believe that you don't have to be transgender. Literally believe that if you got the right therapy or maybe the right religion or whatever, that you would choose, you'd figure it out, and you'd not be transgender. It's not a real thing. And I am here to report that I have seen countless families where there are, literally 3-year-old boys, identified as male at birth, saying, Mommy, I am not a boy, I am a girl. That kid is not watching, RuPaul's drag show, okay? Right. And deciding, hey, that looks kind of great, I want to do that. This is real. It's a form of authenticity, and the way that I explain it to people is how many of your listeners are left-handed? Did they choose to be left-handed? Because it is certainly a right-handed world.
Yeah.
Okay?
I say, yeah. I laugh as a lefty. Yes. Agreed.
Well, I happen to be one, too.
Yeah.
3 out of 5 in my family, as a matter of fact.
Oh, wow.
Left-handed people don't, choose to be left-handed. We get wired that way. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, trans people get wired the way they are, just like gay and lesbian and bisexual people get wired that way. Now, society seems to have accepted that kind of wiring for some reason, because maybe it's such a big difference when people transition. It's just, totally unacceptable to think that we're just like everybody else, just wired a certain way. And that creates the biggest problem for us about the choice issue.
Well, and to your point, even if we're using the wiring of left-handed people in a right-handed world, it's because the majority are right-handed. So it makes it a very whether it's scissors or notebooks, or the fact that we are more likely to have accidents and die of an accident than right-handed people, because the world is constructed by people who are right-handed. That's the majority, and because the majority of people, whether it's because they don't have this this issue of gender identity or the wiring of what goes, I guess, against their expectations. Because for me, part of the way I've tried to understand this over the last decade or more, because my son became very interested in learning about transgender experiences about a decade ago. Like when he was like 12 or 13 educating us, because there were philosophers on YouTube talking about these things. And so that's where I started to learn more about it. It was never anything that I was, appalled by. I was like, my attitude was always like, oh, okay. Like that should be everyone's, oh, okay. Right? Like when you find out someone's a lefty, maybe we go, oh, you're a lefty and that's it. But gender to me is like the idea of what we wear, what you're supposed to look like, whether it's hair or fat, all those things. It's a construct it's a construct, isn't it? It's made up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it is. And it's just. I think that we are such a small minority. Okay. I mean, by the way, I think there are far more transgender and gender variant humans out there than anyone knows. But but still, we're not millions and millions of people. And my community, the trans community, does not have its own version of ACT UP. You may recall ACT UP from the 80s and early 90s, when gay men were pressuring the U.S. government to engage in real HIV research in order to come up with a cure for AIDS, for HIV. And they were in the face of politicians throwing fake blood at them, showing up, shutting down government buildings. Trans people, we don't have an ACT UP. My radio show that I started right after Trump got elected is my attempt at least to be a local advocate for trans people and a vocal advocate for them, for those who seek to marginalize us, discriminate against us, for me to tell them to stop, to yell at them to stop.
Yes, I'm with you. I want to yell at them to stop, because it's hard to not look. Life for everybody is hard enough, and then you layer on what other people want you to be. Right? They want this. Okay, let's take a step back before I get angry, because I know you have so much work to do. How do you pace yourself? Let me ask you. Let me start there. How do you pace yourself with all of this?
I'm single. I've got a dog, Jack. I don't have a whole lot of other things to keep, me from, distractions. And frankly, I'm an idealist. So what I tell everybody is I'm a student of Dr. King and Bobby Kennedy. I am 68 years old. I was 11 years old when they were murdered. And before they went, they were on I don't know how old you are, but they were on TV, on the newspapers, all over. And their words, they exhorted humans with words like love, with they use those words, compassion, and all of those things, and they reached into my heart, into my brain, and told me that I have an obligation to make the world better. And it's something that I have never given up on. And once I was able to transition genders at age 52, I decided to no longer be a civil trial attack dog lawyer, but instead I decided to go out and be an idealist and try and make the world a better place. And so that's why I do a variety of different things, but the work that you described about me doing my inclusivity work, I've presented more than 1,000 times across North America, trying to teach people about the value of compassion for each other, taking risks and getting past our fear of other. And Patti, I will tell you, if it works. If you're willing to take a risk, what you will find is that if you sit with someone who is other compared to you, you will find most often that you have so many things in common, because we all want the same things in life. We want to love and be loved. We want our kids to succeed. We want to be free of physical or emotional violence. We all want 20 minutes of peace. And we can get past, once we can get past the othering of another human, our hearts will open. They do. I have seen it happen countless times. We just have to get past the rhetoric of othering.
Well, and I think that's why I asked you how you pace yourself, and I guess in particular, and you answered the question because after Donald won again, you redoubled your efforts and have this radio program, because I feel so disappointed in I guess, in humanity with the results of the election on November 5th. I didn't think it was going to go there. I really thought that we were going to be pulled back from the precipice of this kind of hatred. And I knew, we all knew it was there. You and people who live in communities or deal with the kind of hatred that's flung needlessly. That's why I was asking how you pace yourself, because it's a lot. It's a lot, Ellen.
It is a lot. No, it's been incredibly difficult for me since the election, because I, like you, thought it was going to go the other way. And the radio show, the new show is a way of me being able to react to it. And I just, but I do continue, Patty, to believe in the goodness of most humans. I mean, I have a saying that 98% of all humans are good. I see this in my workshop when I have an exercise with gray area thinking where I ask people to self-identify in a variety of ways. And one of the ways I ask them to identify is, the identity I want to be known for is. And they have choices, like they could be identified for socioeconomic class or skin color or LGBTQ or education. Do you know what, overwhelmingly, how they want to be identified, because these are signs on the walls? Do you know what one sign they choose over and over in red and blue, big and small communities? You know what sign? Compassion. Compassion. Mm-hmm. And you have to know, I am the first transgender person most of these people have ever met in real life.
I believe it.
And so I do believe, in the goodness of most humans and in Americans. What happens, though, is when you throw fear into the equation, when you make people afraid, when you prey on their fear of other, then they do dumb things, like elect Donald Trump.
Right. I'm sorry. That's exactly the way to put it. It's a dumb thing to do. Again, we're talking to Ellie Krug, who is a transgender activist, author, and lawyer, and hosts a new Saturday show, The Illegal Trans Woman. And this is, again, on KTNF AM 950. And I'm glad that you're doing a radio show, and I'm glad that it's available for folks digitally everywhere. We need more voices like yours. We need to be more, we need to be spread more widely. You and I both know that all across the country, conservative radio, because that's where a lot of that hate and manipulation has taken place, whether, with Fox News, with Rush Limbaugh, when you have radio that goes seamlessly from a church sermon to, basically preaching hate in the next show, like that. This is where we are now, don't you think?
I think that it's easy to fall into that belief. That is for sure. But again, I believe that if you're willing to take the chance with someone, that I think that you can get past that. And Patty, you're right about getting the voice out there. And I have to tell you, I feel incredibly frustrated because I have this, I think, incredibly positive message, like the story I just told you about people of all ilks choosing compassion. We don't know that story. And I feel incredibly frustrated because I can't talk to people about it because I'm just such a small player. But I'm thrilled that you've asked me to be on your show, that maybe some other people can hear about that message.
Absolutely. So for folks who are wondering, you can listen to first of all, KTNF AM 950's website has the show, so you can listen. You can listen live anywhere. You guys have it on TuneIn too, right? It's both on the website and on TuneIn.
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Yeah. And I mean, KTNF AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, has shows that are on podcast, all kinds of variety of shows, but it's all accessible, and it's just, for me, I'm just trying my best to get the voice out there so that transgender people have some hope. That somebody is fighting back for them, because I will tell you, our elected representatives are, Patty, they're letting us down.
Oh my God, yes. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they signed I mean, we had 81 or 83 House members and 37 Democratic senators signing off on the NDAA that effectively terminated gender-affirming care for the dependents of our service members. And I just don't think that when they're pushed, when the issue of transgender people come up for many Democrats, I think that they are scared to death about it because I think that they're afraid it will be used. Obviously, it'll be used against them. And I'm sorry, you get elected to lead, you lead.
Yep. Leaders
are supposed to lead, and as I was reminded today, because I had the very first transgender Iowa legislator elected, a woman named Amy Weckendahl, on, and she reminded me about the fact that every time they attack transgender people, what they are doing is absolutely ignoring the real issues about poverty, about high prices, about even about the need to reform our immigration system. Every time they attack transgender people, it's them just deciding they're not going to tackle the hard issues. And I'm sorry, Trump supposedly got elected to tackle those hard issues, but we know how that's going to go, don't we?
Oh, no doubt. And I think that it's frustrating because I have friends who are progressives and yet struggle. Right? I was in LA talking to a friend of mine who's hardcore lib, and even then, like that messaging, those arguments about trans women and men, in particular trans women in sports. Like he was like, well, you don't think it's right. I'm like, oh my God, why? The effect on your life is zero. For somebody who wants to play sports. I mean, what do you say to those folks?
I'm just going to tell you. I mean, all that the MAGA conservatives have done, those that want to attack mainly it's trans girls in sports, is they picked on one or two examples and then exemplified everything else. Okay, I'm just going to tell you, there are genetic females out there with elevated levels of testosterone, that are higher than the testosterone levels for genetic men. I will also tell you that a trans girl or a young trans woman on hormones for a year, which the NCAA is requiring as part of their protocol, and then there is testosterone blockers. I'm just to tell you, being on that regimen of hormones and testosterone blockers, you lose a lot of strength. And so, they're trying to wrap the whole transgender community, and sports are very, very important to young people. I mean, think of it, okay? But they're trying to eliminate that for every transgender child, mainly transgender girl, in the country, simply because of one or two examples.
Yes.
And it's just, but I'm afraid and I fear that they will do it. I fear that we will have a national law. I mean, I know you and I both know. I mean, on the 20th, I'm sure he'll say it in the inaugural. He will drum out every transgender service member in the military. And I saw a statistic today that it would cost $1 billion to replace those service members.
Wow. Yeah. Here's the thing. The men and women who serve in the military do a job that most of us can't and won't do. We struggle with recruitment. And then for the conservatives who call themselves fiscally responsible, none of that makes any sense.
No, they want to. I mean, think about the hundreds of thousands of dollars that the military invests in training a service member. Mm-hmm. And then to decide that simply because they're transgender. I mean, we're talking thousands. It's not like, 20 trans service members. We are talking tens of thousands. Sorry, that's an exaggeration. Maybe up to 15,000 transgender service members to be drummed out after the military has spent millions and millions and millions of dollars to train them. And why are they drumming them out? Simply to make a point that transgender people are less worthy than other people, to make people feel good that they're better than transgender people. That's all it is. And to, of course, continue to fundraise off it.
Exactly. Well said. Would you consider joining us maybe, every month or so we can talk about these issues, because it's going to be first and foremost. I mean, if you wouldn't mind joining us again in February after we find out what the aftermath of January 20th is. Can we bring you back on?
Patti, I would love that. Absolutely. For sure.
Like I said, we need your voice. Again, Ellie Krug hosts a wonderful radio show on KTNF AM 950. We encourage you to tune into that show, as well as joining us here. You can find Ellie Krug at elliekrug.com. The show is The Illegal Trans Woman on KTNF AM 950. Remind folks the time and dates for the show.
Yes, so the show airs live on Saturdays at 4 o'clock, and then goes into podcast and can be found wherever you get your podcast.
And for folks who want to learn more about your memoir and about the inclusivity training that you do, is that also available on your website?
It is at elliekrug.com. Absolutely. And they can find the book, Getting to Ellen, a memoir about love, honesty, and gender change, available on Amazon, Kindle, Nook, or order it from your local bookstore.
Well, thank you so much for this conversation. I look forward to talking to you again in February, because it's really a vital part of going forward. Because I one more thing, and I just want to say this, because a lot of folks have talked to me about, maybe if we just didn't make it a big deal, let them attack, and we shouldn't have even responded, or we shouldn't, so you're saying we turn our backs on people, and like you said, I think you put this well, is then lead. We need to lead, the electeds and those who really have the compassion for other human beings, right?
Absolutely. And you turn your backs on us, then what are you going to do when they go after the next group?
Exactly.
You're going to turn your back then too? No. We are the canaries in the coal mine.
Right.
We are. And they are testing the waters with transgender people.
And I think
that's what they're doing.
And I think that answers the question. A listener texted, does your guest consider how trans people representing such a small percentage of the population might not motivate attention from the politicians? That doesn't. I'm sorry, 847, but the thing is that it did. It just was from the negative and the hateful side. It motivated a lot of attention.
Exactly right. But also, as Bobby Kennedy said, the test of our society is how we treat the least of us.
Yes.
Not the best of us. And that, and you know what? America is better than this.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
We are a country that has accomplished great things because we have the compassion and the capacity to care about each other. We just have to get past the fear.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your insight, for joining us, and I really appreciate your time and look forward to talking to you again in a few weeks.
Thanks so much, Patti. I look forward to coming back.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye.
I'll have an okay weekend. With the way things are going, it'll be okay. Thanks, my friend. Take care. Bye-bye. Let's take a break here, and before we go tonight, we'll make sure I'll let you know we have another gift card from Fry the Coop, so stay tuned to find out how you might win one of those gift cards. Again, that was Ellie Krug, and you can tune in on KTNF AM 950. More after this.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
If you're a woman 40 or older, you probably know that you should be getting a mammogram every 2 years. If you're overdue, take this segment today as a sign that you should schedule your appointment. Now, when you get the results, you might notice something a little different this time around. That's because the FDA recently finalized a rule that requires mammography results to inform patients about the density of their breasts. Now, as you might know, dense breasts not only make a woman more likely to develop breast cancer, they also make breast cancer more difficult to detect on scans. That's because dense breast tissue and tumors can look similar on an X-ray. Now, by some estimates, about half of women who are of the age they should be getting mammograms also have dense breasts. Keep that in mind. So, if this is you, some additional screening might be in order. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us, too, in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org www.chicagocharitycenter.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Some things you wouldn't mind being stuck with, like a huge inheritance. But a phone that has to be plugged in just right so it charges is not one of those things. Switch to Verizon and we'll pay off your old phone up to $800 via prepaid MasterCard for a new one on us. Just trade in any phone from our top brands with select unlimited plans. $829.99 purchase with new smartphone line on select unlimited plans. Minimum $90 per month with auto pay plus taxes and fees for 36 months required. Place $830 trade-in/promo credit applied over 36 months. Trade-in terms apply. Payoff phone requires smartphone purchase and port-in with new smartphone line on select plan. Must provide most recent bill showing payoff amount.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820. You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Partly cloudy tonight with a low temperature of 12 degrees and northwest winds at up to 25 miles an hour. Saturday, sunny with a high temperature of 22. Sunday, cloudy, high temperature of 28. Northwest winds at 10 to 20. Monday, chance of light snow with a high temperature around 30. Tuesday, partly sunny and a high of 25. And for Wednesday, partly sunny with a high temperature around 19. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 24.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Hello, friends. This is Jason Bissell from Chicago Community Acupuncture. We're starting a new year, and what do you want to do with it? I suggest you take this opportunity to get happy and healthy. How do you do that? Well, acupuncture can help, but the real goal of Chinese medicine is to teach our patients to adjust their diet, lifestyle, and attitudes so they don't need medicines or treatment. To learn how, read The Asian Diet, Simple Secrets for Eating Right, Losing Weight, and Being Well, available at all major online retailers. It's time to take control of your health. If not now, when? And if acupuncture can help, see us at Chicago Community Acupuncture at Milwaukee, Devon, and Nagel. Call us at 773-853-0920, 773-853-0920, or our website, Chicom Acu.
Chicomacu.
CHICOMACU.com.
Or CHICOMACU.com. Chicomacu.
And Happy New Year.
What's on your to-do list? Check your mail? Get groceries? How about getting your annual vaccines? We can help you check that off.
You've got this.
Yes, you do. Because we've got you. With local vaccine events and access to transportation, protecting yourself and your loved ones is not a chore anymore.
You've got this.
A message from the Aging and Disability Vaccination Collaborative, powered by U.S. Aging. Funded by the U.S. Administration for Community Living through a grant to U.S. Aging. Learn more at yougotthis.usaging.org.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's Progressive Talk from TuneIn.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
And while we are winding down in this last half hour of the show here on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KTNF AM 950, I want to give you a little bit of a little overview of what's coming up, especially tomorrow on The Big Picture. Edwin Eisendrath is back, and his guests are Larry Diamond, a senior fellow in global democracy at Stanford University, Laura Rodriguez, vice president of government affairs at the Center for American Progress Action, Bill Schur of the Washington Monthly, and legal analyst Jill Weinbanks. That's a packed show. The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath is Saturdays from 1 to 4 p.m. Central on WCPT. And remember, any of the shows that you hear, maybe you miss one, or there's part of a conversation you want to go back to, or you jump on the show late, just want to remind you that we all have our podcasts now, including my show. Driving at Home has 2 new podcasts, Driving at Home full episodes and Driving at Home featured interviews. You can subscribe to one or both, and the podcasts are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Amazon. Just search for Driving at Home with Patti Vasquez, or get the links on the Driving at Home show page by visiting heartlandsignal.com and click on my face. Just click on my face. That's a weird way to say that, but at any rate, or just the picture of me. On that page, you can also find a rundown of my guests each week and every day, and links to listen again or watch the YouTube video stream of previous shows, which always reminds me, I've got to do better. I'm trying to get more t-shirts, Lady B. I've been going to thrift stores. I have really been. That's been my therapy, is going thrift store shopping. My maximum, it's like when, people go gambling, they say that I'm not going to lose more. I've got my limit. $20 is the most I'll spend at a thrift store. And even then, like sometimes I leave with nothing, not for me today. I found a scarf at Village Thrift Store on, I don't know if I should tell people where my stores are. Like, I want them to go there and get good deals too, but I also don't want you to go get my good deals. I was at Unique Thrift Store on Elston. No, Village Thrift Store. I've been going to a lot. I would go to Unique, Goodwill. I go to Salvation Army. I go to, I'm not telling you the little one. That's that terrible of me? Okay, I should support everybody, right? Because this is what we need to do. So Norwood Park Thrift is the other one. It's right across from the Norwood Park Senior Center. And all the proceeds from the thrift store go to the Norwood Park Senior Center. So I should tell people about that. There's also great secondhand stores, like my sister's closet is great over on Devon in Edgebrook. I haven't had a chance to go in there too much. I was selling somebody. I told you this before. I've been thrifting since I was a kid. My mom has always taken me to rummage sales and garage sales, and I bought my prom shoes at my sister's closet. Really cute open toe shoes, probably about a little 2-inch heel, super cute, vintage. And when after I had the kids, my feet went up a whole size. I actually sold them back to my sister's closet. I hardly had ever worn them. Maybe like some party in college, and so I sold them back, and you get commission. You can sell on consignment. You can sell things at my sister's closet. So those are some of my secondhand and thrift store spots. So I was at the Village Thrift Store on Elston, and somehow I have a thing for certain kinds of fabrics. Like, I'm like, oh, this is nice, and I'll buy it. And you can kind of check for stuff online. Like, I checked the brand of the scarf I had. I think I told you this before. I bought it for $6. It retails for over $200. It's a cashmere scarf. That makes me super happy. I love a good deal. So I want to urge folks. One of the things I think that's empowering is to withdraw or draw down how much you're spending with mega corporations, right? Whether that's like Amazon or whatever, your subscriptions and things like that. Find the ways where you can sort of like not give them. They have so much power, and I mean, I don't know how much of an impact. If enough people are doing it, we can vote with our dollars. Show our financial protest. Shop local. Shop secondhand. It helps you save money. It helps also inject revenue into your community because we're going to need each other. And there's a lot of advice that I've been kind of looking into with folks who are trying to process what the next 4 years are going to be like. And we talk about this a lot. Renato Mariotti mentioned this when he was on last month. And it's be involved as much as you can. And it could be just like following a neighborhood group online. And there are often neighborhood organizations that will say, hey, our food pantry is running low. If someone could drop off some things. And the food pantry we have here in Jefferson Park, and there's also a food pantry in Norwood by Roden Library. I know the one by Olive's Garden. Olives is the name of the garden, not the restaurant. But there's also, we also put, we'll leave, any of the plastic silverware we get from restaurants, we put in there so folks can use that in the event that they don't have some place to use utensils. We'll leave like hygiene products too. I know there are folks that have treasure boxes that providing whether it's paper towels and toilet paper, shampoo and soap and things like that. So try to get as involved as you can. And again, it could be as much as maybe you'll see a call for help in the community, even it's kicking in $5, $10. I also encourage you to join any of your Buy Nothing groups on Facebook. That's BUY, Buy Nothing, meaning it's an exchange of items at no cost. You'll do like, hey, I have available for porch pickup near, I don't know, Devon and Nagel. I've got this. A lot of people, the best thing is for people who have little ones, so many, toys and clothes that they go through so quickly. You can just sort of, reshare them in your neighborhood without having to pay for it. And if you need something, like let's say, I always use an air fryer as an example because I don't have one, but let's say you want to try one out, but you're not sure if you want to buy one, you can put an in search of an ISO. If you're getting rid of your air fryer or getting a new one, I would love to try one out. So I really encourage you, like just little steps like that. If you're not already involved in your local Democratic parties or your neighborhood organizations, here on the Northwest Side, I'm involved with the Jefferson Park Sunday Market, just to name one of the groups that I like to support and be a part of and connect with my neighbors. And that's what we're going to need so much more of in the next days, weeks, and months to come. Got a text from a listener. Patty, thank you so much for the last segment. I have a place in Wisconsin and got about 20 mail pieces about she's for they, them, not for you. I was so angry. They were so successful with that angle, but we need to stand up for trans people, not pull back, even though that would be tempting in light of the ugly sentiments coming from the other side. I agree completely. So I want to, let me get to Roosevelt, because I promised that we would talk to Roosevelt before the end of the show and have a little more time to stretch out. Hey, Roosevelt, my friend, what's on your mind? What did you want to dig into?
Okay. It might take a little while, maybe no more than 10 minutes.
Wow. Wow. Oh, you're not going to read something to us, are you?
No. Here's what's on my mind, and it's been on my mind all this week, okay? And that is the new laws that came into effect starting the 1st.
In Illinois? Are you talking about in Illinois or other places? Where the federal laws? Or
let's just start with Illinois, okay? All right, so this is what happened today in Spanish radio stations. And that is the toll between Indiana.
Yep, that went up.
And Illinois went up. Okay, so the negativity continues in our community. What I'm talking about is the Latin community. And they brought up the minimum wage, but as nothing that important, which I consider it very important.
Sure.
Okay. So I'm going to connect all the dots here. And Biden with the decision of not selling U.S. steel. So I'm going to connect all these dots. First, I have a question for you, Patty. Was there a lawsuit? Did Illinois sue Indiana for contaminating parts of Lake Michigan, or am I making it up?
No, I believe that's correct.
Okay. So that's what I'm getting at. Compare the two sides. Republicans, my mom says you can't drink the water in Texas. So I'm going to give you Texas. I'm jumping all over the place, but it's basically connecting the same thing, the same subject. Noticeably, Texas and Indiana have a lot of similarities, and that is the connection of oil and jobs deriving from oil. So I believe Gary and Indiana in general is kind of mad at Biden because he shut the door as far as the sale to the Japanese as far as U.S. steel. Now, remember I mentioned the lawsuit between Illinois and Indiana. So all these things affect, and that goes with what they said today. They didn't mention the minimum wage. Do you know what the minimum wage is in Indiana?
What is it, about?
$7, I believe.
Is it $7?
$7.50, no more. So it's half of Illinois. All right. Now, this is what they mentioned. They mentioned the fact that it's livable in Indiana. In other words, everything's cheaper in Indiana. Okay? So I look at it the other way, and I would like your input on it. I mean, sure, you could move to Texas, and all these people that moved to Texas and Florida and all those Republican states with Republican governors, but you pay a price. For everything, there's a price. My grandfather used to say, the most important thing in life is water. So I kind of agree with that 100%. You can't live without water. So Republican states never put restrictions on, or I wouldn't say never, but very rarely put restrictions on companies, especially when they give money to the politicians. Remember West Texas, what happened in West Texas and who the governor was? I can't think of the guy's name, but he ran for president.
Rick, what was his name? I remember the one that wanted to eliminate. He couldn't remember all the agencies he wanted to eliminate. Yeah, I'll find him. Go ahead.
Okay, I call him the pill popper. That's my nickname to him, the pill popper. So
that was Rick Perry. That's right. Okay, go ahead.
Rick Perry. Okay, so that's my thing. I mean, sure, you can move to Indiana, and that's what they were saying. I didn't get a chance to call in because I was kind of busy, but my feeling is this. No matter what happens in Illinois, we are one thing for sure. Our governor is going to protect our health. Mm-hmm. Whereas in Indiana, you don't have that. In Illinois, in Texas, you don't have that. In Florida, you don't have that because these companies, especially oil companies, contaminate the waters, the streams in those particular states and other states where there's Republican governors. So next door to us, we have a right to work state. Am I right about that?
Yep. To the east of us, to the north of us, to the west of us. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I want you to expand on what I just started right now and school us as far as the right to work versus our Illinois.
Well, I will tell you.
As an example.
Well, here, I will tell you one of the big pushes. I mean, to your point, because I spent time in Springfield when Governor Rauner was trying to essentially crush the unions and make Illinois a right-to-work state, and he was holding us hostage. He was holding social services hostage. This is what they do, to take a swing at the rights and power of labor. And they wanted to diminish, first of all, for folks who don't know, a right-to-work state, is in Illinois. The idea is the right to work in other states, like as Roosevelt's talking about in Indiana, they don't have to, they basically want to make it harder to join a union. And they prohibit employers and labor unions from negotiating on things like union security agreements. It prohibits union security agreements between employers and labor unions. So they don't have to collaborate with each other and negotiate. And when you do that, you essentially are at the whims of the wealthy and corporations. And, in Indiana, and this is probably different now, it's probably even worse now, when I was in Springfield, the average salary, income with benefits and all that was about 325 times the average pay for a worker in Indiana. And I told that to one of the Republicans in Springfield who was trying to create a right to work in Illinois. And he goes, well, at least they have a job. So basically, they don't care what your quality of living is, whether it's the environment or your health, as long as they're doing everything they can to line the pockets of the powerful and the wealthy.
Am I next?
I don't know. You asked me to expand on that. Are you next? I don't know.
No, I love it. I love it, and that's the reason why I wanted you to do it, because you explain it better than I do, which I thank you very much. And because of the new year, I'm going to say this.
Okay.
I am so glad that we have you guys because it's educational. I want to ask you a question, personal question, not that personal. Don't you feel good when you say to yourself that you wake up in the morning and you feel like you're progressive, and in your mind you can prove that you're for people? You know what I'm saying? I feel so proud of not only feeling. Don't you get that feeling? And you're very contagious, my friend.
Aww. I'm
going to use your phrases, and that's. And not just only you, but a lot. But I'm going to start with you because you put the humor in it, and it sinks in. You see what I'm saying? Well, with most of us. So
right,
I'm
not for everybody, but I'm glad they're here too.
No, it's for everybody. But I'm saying I'm going to start with you because you are totally different than the others when it comes down to humor, and that is very essential because it kind of sinks in when you present things in a humoristic way. It sinks in because it draws the attention because of the fact that you're funny. So I want to put that in there.
Thank you.
But I thank you for being there, and the best for us, as far as I consider us part of WCPT, Dave and Jim and all the guys, and Bobby and all the guys. So it's like a family, and it is a family, and it is therapy for us that. We basically no other choice, but you guys, especially here in your previous station, is gone. I listened to that thing. I can't take it anymore.
I can't. Yeah, no.
It's gone.
Yeah, I know. No, they're in the pocket of Trump, believe me. Well, Roosevelt, what a lovely way to start off the year and kick off my weekend with kind words from you, Roosevelt. I wish you a wonderful weekend.
Same to you.
And I will talk to you again very soon. Thank you for bringing the loss to our attention.
And thank you for giving me the time, Patty.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Take care, Roosevelt. And I think this goes well with that. Margot's calling from Maryland. Hey, Margot, how are you doing?
Hi, I just wanted to, I'll be brief.
That's okay.
I just feel like we need to talk more about 3 topics. Homelessness, people with disabilities, and Medicaid. And also, if you want to support small businesses, there's a lot of small businesses run by people with disabilities that we can support. But also, I know so many friends that have become homeless recently in all states, including someone in Illinois. And I know a lot of people that have been recently cut off Medicaid, even in blue states, let alone red states. And it would be nice if there could be a national coalition that could form to protect Medicaid, at least at the state level or state-level coalitions. And I know that's a lot to throw at you, but that's all I'll say.
I agree with you. Much. Of course, Margot. I appreciate that you want to amplify that message, and I agree with you. And for folks who live in the Chicagoland area, for example, to Margot's point, there's a place called Will's Place, which is a nonprofit creating meaningful jobs with adults with disabilities. So Will's Place is one of the locations, and I'll find other places like that. I just quickly looked that up so that we can get the ball rolling on supporting businesses like that. So thank you for the reminder, Margot. Have a good one. Let me take a break here. And let's do the giveaway gift card before we end the show. So let me do it right now. Fry the Coop is the destination, and by the way, a local business. I mean, there's a franchise, but there's a bunch of them, and it is the destination for hot chicken in Chicago and in the Chicagoland area, giving a Southern original, a Midwest touch, whether you want heat or no heat. Featuring chicken sandwiches, tenders, chicken and waffles, and now nuggets, all delivering happiness in each crunchy bite. Proudly not using seed oils, but frying all of their menu items in 100% beef tallow. Stop by Fry the Coop today at one of its many locations, including Oak Lawn, Chicago, Elmhurst, Darien, Prospect Heights, Tinley Park, and Bolingbrook. You can have no heat, mild, medium, hot, or crazy insanity. And to celebrate the holidays, Fry the Coop gave WCPT $25 gift cards as our little gift to you. By the way, I have one to give away right now. So let's take caller. Let's just make it easy because it's the end of the show. Caller number 2, and we'll wind down in just a moment. I want to remind you, again, that 773-763-9278 is the number to call for your chance to win a gift card from Fry the Coop. Caller number 2 wins the card, 773-763-9278. You do have to call. We can't give them by texts right now. And I also want to remind you, the contests running on WCPT 820 are open to listeners 18 or older and residents of the greater Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana area. 1 entry per person, 1 winner per household. Void where prohibited by law. Listeners may only win or qualify to win once every 30 days. Complete rules are available on our website at WCPT820.com by clicking the contest tab. Right back after this, and we'll say goodnight in just a moment.
The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
We had a call on this show. A black woman who called in to say that the pre-election finger pointing at black voters was wrong, that she and her community showed up. And she then asked, with real agony and some anger in her voice, where were the rest of us? She felt betrayed. Boy, I understand those feelings.
The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Saturdays at 1 p.m.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasques on WCPT 820.
Hey, everybody. In case you are wondering, yes, Joan will be back on Monday. Richard will be back on Monday as well. So make sure you're tuning in. Monday on Choose Views, Richard Chu will be taking your calls and talking to Alex Nitkin, government finance and accountability reporter at Illinois Answers Project. Choose Views, of course, weekdays from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central on WCPT 820. And Monday, Joan is back. She'll and her guests will include Jeffrey Korn, director of the Center for Military Law and Policy Policy at Texas Tech University, Terry Ross, Executive Director of the Illinois Legal Aid Online, and author Spencer Critchley. Live, local and progressive, weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m. with Jonas Pizzito on WCPT 820. And again, I know that I think it was it Bob? I think it was Bobby from Indiana told us that it's hard for him to hear. And of course, I'm telling you, as it is dark out, when the days get longer, it'll be easier to hear us terrestrially. Some folks can get us pretty clear, even on their car radios and at home, but for some of you, it might be a struggle. So if you have the opportunity, you can also tune in on our Facebook or YouTube pages, as well as on the TuneIn app, which is all free locations for you to listen to the show. We also have our show broadcasting live on heartlandsignal.com. And don't forget to follow Heartland Signal on all the media sites, including Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Threads. That's Heartland Signal, all one word. And they're always catching great stories around the country that we need to know about. And I think I'm just going to do a quick whiskey and a cookie tonight for those of you who tune in for whiskey and a cookie. Elliot, I believe, is working. Esmeralda also working. Adam is in Atlanta, Georgia, working with his parents at a Democrats event. He's working a table, talking to volunteers. We will be gearing up again to go to Wisconsin. And I'm thinking I think I need to put together a comedy show to do a fundraiser, maybe in Whitewater. Really had a good time working with the students at the University of Wisconsin, Whitewater. So I'm trying to think of a title for the show. I don't know. Heartland Ha-Has is a little corny. As you know, a lot of comedy clubs have goofy names, but maybe that's what we'll do. I've been trying to think of I also was trying to think of like maybe a Chicago connection to the name, but not like some people might be turned off by a Chicago themed show. But if it's, let's say, Joe Kilgallen, who you've heard on the show, and Dwayne Kennedy, just to name a couple, if I can get them to come do a show, maybe like Jerry and I were spitballing names like Lake Effect Laughs. Did I see that too goofy? Lake Effect Laughs. Mm-hmm. Crosstown. Crosstown. It's more of a baseball South Side North Side thing. All right. Well, it's a work in progress, folks. As Joan always talks about, and we've mentioned this before, take care of yourselves. Do something this weekend that feeds your soul. I have one more night, I believe, with my son, who is home from college. Of course, I'm incredibly spoiled because he does go to school in Chicago, albeit on the South Side, over an hour away with traffic. But let's spend some time with him tonight. So I'm going to make it a short whiskey and a cookie this evening. I want to thank everyone who joined us tonight. Thank you to Dr. Suzana Flores. Again, you can follow her on all the social medias, and we'll be checking in with her more regularly, as well as Ellie Krug, who is the host on KTNF, the show that you need to be tuning in, and we'll also be checking in with her. I think it would be smart to have a regular segment with her so that we understand better trans issues and how we can help out. Randy Rhodes is up next. Thank you so much for everything, Lady B. I love you. Love you all. Don't forget, Matt McNeil is also on tonight, and I believe I'm on that broadcast because we pre-recorded that show. Good night, everybody. Be well. Take care. Bye.